Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so potential buyers have more information about the seller and the business to help them make a buying decision. Before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of this business. It's an e-commerce and Amazon FBA business created in January of 2019 in the children and art niches. The average monthly revenue for the business is $39,387 and makes an average of $8,526 per month in net profit. The assets included in the sale are a primary domain and all site content and files, as well as a secondary domain and all site content and files, an Amazon Seller Central account with 93 SKUs, contractor relationships and supplier relationships, a Shopify account, a pending trademark, social media accounts, which include Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and TikTok, and an email list of over 46,000 subscribers, an SMS list of over 12,000 subscribers. And just as a disclaimer, inventory isn't normally included in the list price, but further details can be provided to unlockers. So for everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 63098 to learn more about the business, or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So that's a brief overview of the business for sale. Let's hear from the seller with me today. So welcome to the show, Jeremy. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Nick. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to learning more about you and your business. So to start us off, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Absolutely. So I've sold 3 businesses in the past, all online businesses as well. And so this will be number 4. This is what I like to do, honestly, is just, build. I love starting from scratch, building businesses from the ground up, creating something new where nothing existed before. That's where my passion is. I studied entrepreneurship at BYU, and it's definitely what I plan on continuing to do throughout my career.
That's awesome. And was it always, so first of all, congratulations on this being your 4th potential exit. Was it all the same business model, or did you test out different business models?
Different business models. The first one is actually a drop shipping company. Second one was exclusively FBA, Amazon company. And then the third one, just a few years ago, I actually sold that one through Empire Flippers as well. So it's my second time going through Empire Flippers. But that third one was a very similar business model to this, which is primarily, Shopify sales through my own website, and then also supplemented by Amazon sales.
Yeah, that's awesome. It sounds like you've kind of gone through metamorphosis in a way where you went from kind of like the lower barrier to entry, the drop shipping model, and then you expanded into, I imagine, is probably private label through Amazon FBA. And then now you've it's not just reliant on Amazon FBA who's doing everything for you, but now you're doing more D2C e-commerce stuff, owning your own website. It sounds like you prefer this model over the others. Do you like this setup better?
Yeah, you nailed it. You're exactly right with kind of the stepping stones that I took kind of from the easier, lower barrier to entry, drop shipping, and then working my way up to what I consider, a much more difficult thing to do, to find your own customers and build your own brand really around it. So I definitely prefer this. This is what I love doing most is, creating that brand and group of loyal followers. This is definitely my favorite business model so far.
Yeah, that's a good point that you mentioned about, because there's almost like there's this built-in separation when you are selling on Amazon FBA that can make it difficult to be close with your audience or even build an audience. It's more maybe transactional in nature. So we can get a little bit more into the benefits of this, but it's awesome to hear that this is where you've arrived at. Okay. Well, I might know the answer to this next question then based on your first answer. So, why are you deciding to sell this business instead of keeping it and growing it?
Yeah, so I kind of mentioned a little bit, right? This is what I like to do. I think I really love the 0 to 1 or $0 to $1 million in revenue. That initial stage of a business to me is the most exciting. It's where my passion is. I just love being there. And so right now, I'm just kind of on this road of rinse and repeat, build up businesses to about that level and then sell them and let the next person take it from 1 to 10 million, kind of that next level of business. I think that takes a whole different skill set. It's much more at that point about maybe building a team around it. And right now, like I said, I'm having a lot of fun living in this first stage of the business and kind of rinse and repeating and doing it over again. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm just ready to go on to the next business and let somebody take this business to the next level.
Yeah, I could kind of see that from your first answer. And it is a very self aware, it's a sign of experience almost when a seller says, you know what, I like the building part about this, but I'm not so much into the phase that comes after that, which is the operating, building out the team, maybe investing more capital phase of that. So, yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from. Has this first phase been relatively, like, it sounds like at the point where you realize a larger team is necessary, that's kind of the point where it's for you makes sense to sell. Have you found that you've been able to build these businesses relatively kind of like with low, I don't know, maybe low investment? Like you don't need a huge team. Maybe you can do this on your own. Maybe you don't need a ton of upfront capital. Yeah. How's your experience been with, I guess, the building phase of your four businesses, but mostly this one?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm able to do it mostly just outsourcing task. I'm able to do it with a really lean team, I guess. And yeah, not a lot of upfront capital. I think this one was 10 grand going in just because I already had supplier relations and had to do product development from previous businesses. And so this is, again, kind of just what I've learned from those previous businesses and the relationships I've been able to develop. It is still obviously very hard to get anything up and going and starting from nothing. But with this business in particular, it was just so much easier every new business that I work on because so many questions are already answered and so many things are already in place to get going. So at this point, yeah, much easier for me to get started now.
Yeah. Well, let's get into that. So, yeah, I'm seeing these compounding learnings from each business. So, for this one in particular, what did you learn through building this business that worked that you think contributed to the success of this one?
The biggest thing I think was at the start, which was the biggest learning from previous companies was to start with a product that is unique. Start with a product that is not saturated. And that's what we did right with this company from the get go. And it's so much easier to sell a product when in a space that is not completely crowded. And so with this product in particular, we are the only ones doing what we're doing and in the way that we're doing it and selling it to the market that we are. So obviously there's still competition, there's still similar products out there, but we're the only ones, without getting into too much detail of exactly what we do, we're the only ones that are selling our product in the way that we are to the customers that we are. So that alone, just right off the get-go, has made it so much easier and such a more successful business than any of my previous ones.
Yeah. I think there's this pervasive, at least in the Amazon FBA space, this approach towards product selection about getting in where there's already pre existing products or like this niche already exists, but then seeing if you can kind of like make small changes or compete. It sounds like, though, you've taken a different approach where you're kind of going into unexplored territory a little bit. Is that correct to assume that you go in? I guess maybe the question is, how do you feel about going into unexplored territory where you don't actually know how, I guess, the demand for a product, or do you already know the demand?
I'd say we're pretty much right in the middle of those two kind of sides that you just explained, where we didn't invent a new technology or something that no one's ever heard about. And so with that comes a lot of education that needs to happen for the customers to even know what it is. We're not on that side. We're maybe closer to the other side where we're really tweaking a product that everybody already knows, everybody's already used, but we're doing it in a different way that no one's ever seen before. that can be easier to get started because people, they know what it is. Especially our product is a very visual product. You see it and you know exactly what it is. People understand it. They get it right away, but it just so happens that nobody else, no other company is really doing it exactly the way that we're doing it. So if they want our product, the way that our product is presented, like we're the only ones that they can really go to get that. They can get similar things from other companies, but not exactly what we're doing. We're the only ones doing it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, this business isn't super old, so you've experienced some very quick success. So this is definitely working. Was there anything you tried during 3 years, 9 months? Was there anything that you tried during those few years that didn't work out as well?
Oh, yeah. Still plenty of learning experiences throughout the business. One in particular was just the designs that we're going for initially. We were, both me and my business partner, we were pretty sure exactly what we wanted in the designs. And it turns out we were pretty far off. So the initial designs that we released, we loved. And even to this day, we love those the most. But just turns out customers wanted something else. So the designs has always been something that we've constantly had to improve and find out really what resonates best with our customers. Along those lines too was just doing kind of holiday and seasonal specific designs. We did a lot of that in the beginning and realized that wasn't really the route to go. And maybe in the future, as the company gets bigger, that'll be fine to do because you'll be able to sell through much quicker. But for the beginning stages of the business, doing more seasonal or holiday designs wasn't the best answer, I guess. And so those are just a couple learnings, but yeah, there have been just so many along the way.
Got it. And did you learn about what designs people do like after your first wave of sales and being able to communicate with the customers and get feedback on that? Or I guess, how did you find the right designs, the right aesthetic that matched what customers were looking for?
Yeah, so we've released a lot of different designs and it's kind of two part. One is the design itself, so like the content, what's actually in that design, and then the second part's the style. So we've done a lot of experimenting and have been able to really identify what is the best content, what do we need in the design, and then what style should it be in to be the most successful. And yeah, we've been able to create some heavy hitters, some real winners, just phenomenal designs that sell super well. And so now we know going forward, like exactly what designs are needed and what's going to sell the best.
Yep, very cool. And we talked about how this business is predominantly operated through Shopify, through e-commerce. And we also talked about there being a large email list and SMS list. So let's talk about how traffic is generated here, since this isn't your average Amazon FBA business where it's usually a combination of just Amazon organic and Amazon PPC. So can you tell me about the different ways that traffic is generated?
Facebook advertising, that's the main piece of the puzzle there. That's what generates the most traffic and sales and everything. But also just organic through Instagram. We keep up to date on our Instagram account and implement best practices there to get as many organic followers and people that we can there. Never is as high as far as how many people we get through organic versus paid. Obviously, we get a lot more through paid, but people that you do get organic tend to be much more loyal and spend more money with you. So that's always good to continue those efforts as well. More recently, we're getting into TikTok now, as that's becoming such a viral platform and kind of the new Instagram almost of what Instagram used to be before it was all pay to play. So those have been our main ways of attracting customers. And then influencer marketing, we haven't gone too deep into that, but we do get a consistent amount of influencers that will reach out to us asking for product and we'll send them product to display that. So those have been the main channels.
Got it. So it sounds like a few different potential avenues to manage. Can you describe the amount and the type of work that you do on this business to maintain it?
Yeah. So me personally, to at least just maintain what we have, it doesn't require a whole lot. So I send out emails periodically every other week, usually, announcing a sale or a new design or anything like that. We also getting new designs. So we work with artists to create new designs for us and getting those. And then we still do the photo shoots in-house. So me and my business partner is a photographer, so he does those. We have somebody managing most of our marketing as far as social media, keeping up to date on that. So I don't really handle that anymore. And then, of course, just accounting, doing the accounting every month and ordering product, restocking when we need it. Those are sort of the main things that I do.
Okay, got it. And it sounds like those are things that can potentially be outsourced if buyer doesn't want to take on all of those different tasks, such as sending out emails and even accounting/bookkeeping. So, okay, that sounds great. And you touched on this a little bit when you mentioned influencer marketing, but let's get a little bit more into this. So, if you were to keep the business, what are some ways that you would try to grow it further?
Yeah, definitely influencer marketing. Like I said, we haven't really hit that hard. We're kind of just responding to influencers that are reaching out to us. But I think that, going forward to grow the business, that would be a great, great avenue. So reaching out to influencers, maybe even setting aside a budget to, pay influencers to promote the product. I think that will be huge. Two other things I think would be really good are retail and licensing. So getting into retail stores, I think they could sell really well. We are actually in one retail store, just somebody that reached out to us and have seen great success there. And so again, kind of this is like that next stage stuff, right? Where it's like, yeah, if you can get into retail, figure that out. That's something I haven't really ventured into, but if you can figure that sales channel out, that would be, I think, a phenomenal sales channel. And then licensing, I think, will be huge. So we actually started talks with some companies for licensing and some bigger companies that everyone would recognize. But at this stage, we would hold off for now just because the minimums to start are pretty high and we just weren't quite ready for that yet. But yeah, talking about that next stage, 1 to 10 million in revenue, man, licensing will be huge play for this. And I think an absolute game changer in getting to that next level.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's a great sign that all of these potential growth pathways have been ones that have presented themselves really or have reached out to you instead of you having to actively try to tell people on helping you to expand this business. So that's a great sign. And it does feel like it's on the kind of like on the cusp or it's like it's ready to mature into that next phase that you just mentioned. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, even like, I don't know, as I'm saying it now, the licensing, like the companies are interested. Companies are very interested. And it's because we have a product that, again, it's not a new technology or anything, but it's in a way that nobody's ever seen before. Because it can be hard to even just convince big brands to license your product. But with ours, we have such a unique product that they were willing and ready to go. It's going to take that, again, that person with maybe more capital, more resources that can just go ahead and pull the trigger on that because that'll be a huge win.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's not to be understated that you had somebody who wanted to license and you were the one who made the decision that it just wasn't the right move at that moment. So, certainly seems like this is in a prime position to tap into those potentially huge channels. So, those are a lot of opportunities. What do you think are the biggest risks with this business that a buyer should be aware of?
I think one of the bigger risks is I would say that we are currently reliant so much on Facebook advertising. Just being kind of reliant on one channel is always risky because what happens when that channel, becomes more expensive or anything like that. And we saw that, with the iOS update. I mean, the e-commerce companies across the board just got hit so hard because we all are so reliant on that. So I do think that's a potential risk right there and would need to be mitigated by things we already talked about, expanding, getting into influencer marketing, retail, and just other ways to sell this product so that, if anything weird happens with Facebook ads, you have other arms to reach out and continue to acquire customers.
Yep. That also goes into how valuable your potential email list is, your SMS list, just that you have a customer list that if you did want to be more reliant on that, have more advanced email marketing campaigns or just have that be more of the focus, that is an option if Facebook advertising becomes less profitable to justify that kind of switch.
Yeah, that's definitely something that kept us alive. A lot of companies, especially e-commerce companies, closed their doors during that iOS update because it just became so unmanageable. But the fact that we have those lists, we were able to lean on those really heavily when we needed to, and we continue to. It is a consumable product, so people use it, and then it's gone, and they then want to buy more if they really liked it. We do get a good return customer rate, that's great, especially with having the email and SMS lists because you can always reach out to customers that have used the product in the past and then they're, ready to buy again, especially when you drop new designs or anything like that. So yeah.
Yep, certainly sounds like you're have some other options where you are mitigating risks and have some other ones to potential mitigate the risks further. Excellent. Well, some housekeeping questions to wrap this up. How much support are you willing to offer a new buyer?
Every company that I've started, I want to see it go on and be successful. And like I've said, really get to that next level. Like nothing would make me happier, more excited than to see this just blow up. Somebody really, really take it. So I'm willing to give the support that's needed. Now, that being said, I think I did put in my little survey there kind of a cap of, okay, during the first 30 days, I'd be willing to give, a maximum of like 5 hours a week during those first 30 days. And then the following 30 days, I would do an hour a week. And then over the next 4 months, be willing to do an hour a month. Again, that being said, I'm really willing to give the support that's needed. Like I want to see the buyer be successful with this business. I'm not going to be doing a timesheet or anything like that to make sure it's exactly what I had outlined as far as the support I'd be willing. But, if it does get way above and beyond that, I would say, okay, well, we need to at least keep it to a reasonable rate where I'm still able to work on my other stuff and help out. I'm willing to help in any way I can.
Sure. Yeah, the default for anyone listening is 30 days of support. So, yes, it's both generous and also clear about how the support period will last longer, but over time, the expectation is that understandably it'll decrease. Okay. And would you commit to a non-compete? Just confirming on that?
Yes.
Okay, great. And are you open to something like an earnout?
On the earnout, it is honestly such a solid company and it's not something I'm in a hurry to sell. And so an earnout, definitely on a performance-based earnout, no, I would not be doing any performance-based earnouts. But if it was just a fixed earnout, not contingent upon anything happening within the business, I would be open to that, but more likely only if it was going to be above our asking price. I think the current asking price is very fair. When we did our numbers, we were actually looking at a little bit more than what the asking price is going to go live on Empire Flippers. So if it were to be an earnout, it would most likely need to be above that asking price. Otherwise, it would need to at least the listing price to be upfront.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Well, last two questions. So, putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, a few things that I think I've mentioned here, but maybe one that I haven't yet is the supply chain with this company is really, really good. So, lead time from when you place an order with our manufacturer to when you get that order delivered, at least here in the US, is about a month and a half to 2 months. That is really quick turnaround time. The product itself is very light and very small. So we're able to ship it on a plane at low cost, which takes, about a week to get from China to the US, as opposed to like previous businesses that I've had, you're looking at like a 3 month lead time. It takes a month just to ship because you're having to ship it on a boat, and that takes obviously much longer. Also, during 2020, there were a lot of delays with everything that happened and so many breaks in the supply chain. We didn't experience any of that just because, again, we're able to ship it on a plane. It's very, very simple on logistics wise, which can be really good for somebody just getting into the space, but also super good for experienced entrepreneurs that understand that having to float capital for long periods of time can be problematic. And so again, with our lead time being just, a month and a half, typically it's really, really solid product. But apart from that, just kind of what I've already mentioned about the market, it's not a super saturated market, which I think is pretty rare to get on Empire Flippers or other similar platforms where you're buying into a company. I think those two are probably some of the biggest reasons why I would buy this if I were a potential buyer.
Yeah, especially that first point is a great point because both beginner friendly, but also for those who are experienced with e-commerce, they are well aware of how many issues there have been with supply chain. I mean, that's been kind of the overarching issue over the past couple of years, that despite sales volumes increasing, the fact that these logistics issues have existed, have made e-commerce a bit more difficult to manage. So yeah, that's a great point. And in addition to all of the potential growth opportunities that seem just around the corner. I think we've went through a lot about this business, but is there anything you'd like to add that you think I might have missed during the interview?
No, I think that about wraps it up. A lot of great questions. So yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up here. So, Jeremy, thanks so much, man, for sharing your story and joining us on today's episode. And yeah, I hope your business is purchased in the near future and by the right buyer.
I appreciate it, Nick. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 63098. And if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.